Not only that, it was against each other when Jersey was playing.
That kind of went off the rails this year. They canceled the game. The coach was just for it.
That's yours, but.
Anyone in your city. So that's kind of fun. Kind of fun.
Nebraska last month.
Nice, you're gonna watch it. Yeah. I'll tell you this, I miss, Carolyn. You're getting tolerated. Oh, yeah, I agree. The problem in the housing crisis, I have a question, Steve.
Okay, channel 17, if you're ready, please go ahead and start recording. Thank you, sir.
Okay, everyone, welcome to our March TMAC meeting. We'll start, as always, with our introductions. I am Joy McMurray, TMAC Chair.
Kehan City with Provo Public Works Engineering.
David Nicholson with Provo Engineering.
Stephen Brock, Provo Police Department.
Just Andy with Provo Public Works.
Noah Gordon, TMAC member.
Mary Bonds, Provo City Planning. Justin O'Donoghue, Provo City Planning. Cousins, TMAC members.
Gordon Golding, Development Services.
David Hurtado, TMAC. David Keller, TMAC.
Emma Patching, Provo City Engineering.
Greg McFarland, TMAC.
I'm gonna,
George Hanley, City Council.
what's the name?
Behind us.
Okay, yes, fine, please.
Danielle Nixon, Provo City.
Welcome, everyone, thank you. First action item is approving our minutes from February. Anyone like to vote that we do that?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Okay.
Sure, either of us.
All in favor?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Last month, Hannah Salzwell presented to us the station area plans and then emailed them out for us to look over. It was recommended that we recommend those plans to the Planning Commission, but we have, Mary, are you here representing Hannah today? Hi, Lisa, welcome. Adding in Lisa Jensen. Oh, did we have anyone online?
No, we do not.
Okay. So before we do that, are there any questions, concerns that TMAC members would like to ask to Mary before we make a recommendation on those plans?
Jessica is here also.
Oh, Jessica, great. Yeah. Welcome. Thank you. I have one question. I have several, but we'll probably not bring them all up today. One question I have is, as we make this recommendation, how binding is it to every detail in the plan? Because there are many small details I would probably discuss or change or want more information on before I say, yes, TMAC completely approves every detail of this. Are there opportunities to change things later, or how binding is this?
I think this recommendation is more just for the transportation map. It's not for the entirety of the plan. We haven't finished writing the entire plan, so, I mean, we can't ask you to give a recommendation on that yet. So it's just those maps that are on the screen and also that was showed last time and emailed out to you. It's active transportation, futures of these areas with active transportation. So, I mean, I think at a later date when we are finished writing it, then we can come back and discuss it more. But right now, we'd love to get your recommendation on specifically the maps. Did you say that's correct?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. We're kind of starting building out the maps and making sure we have positive feedback for that before we write everything that's in the map and find out that our transportation committee doesn't like them.
Okay. So, for example, I noticed that on almost every plan, it recommends these beautiful brick crosswalks, which I think would be very lovely, but I don't know for sure if, like, cost-wise, or would that be so much better than paint that we would, like, what if they said, well, we don't have the budget for that, but can we switch it to high visibility paint? You know, I don't know. Yeah. Is that an option that something could be changed later?
Yeah, that's a great thing to write down, and we can put text in the plan about that. Obviously, this is kind of like Best case scenario, it'd be great to have the stamped concrete make it look really good.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's a great, point to bring up. We do have a whole section in the plan about funding sources that, or resources that we can go to as well for things like that. And if it's gonna be part of our implementation plan to implement some of these, suggestions. So as those, implementation goals come up, then we can start looking at funding resources. We're confident that we can get to the point that we want to get to, essentially, whether that's paint or stamped concrete or brick or whatever, right? But with these maps, we just kind of want to show what the best case scenario is going to be. But that's a great point.
Okay, I just wasn't sure how, like, to what detail are we signing off? I think it's beautiful. I just don't know, as we're balancing all the costs and benefits, how that will shake out. And that's just one example.
Mm-hmm.
But also, we're not responsible for the costs, right?
True.
Like, we recommend that by adopting these plans, that there should be crosswalks like, the crosswalks that are identified in this plan should be there.
Mm-hmm.
And Provo City Engineering will have to figure out how to pay for them and what to make them and how to prioritize them, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, city council
And city
helps,
council,
yeah.
Okay. Well, TMAC members, while you're thinking or possibly reviewing, I have just a few more questions. If we could go to the Joaquin area plan. Couple comments here. One is, I really love this proposed shared path that's basically behind the library.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see much detail about that. Again, is this something where we're just saying this is the ideal without worrying too much about how it would be implemented? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, so great question. Obviously, this is going to happen with redevelopment. As it redevelops, we want there to be something there. We don't know what the configuration is going to look like. It's probably going to weave in and out. But we want developers to know there's got to be a connection, an east-west connection through this block as they redevelop. So, yeah, there isn't much detail, especially on these maps, of exactly what that's going to look like. But in the text, we're going to put, down some, like how wide it has to be, things like that. We want to make sure it happens, but we just don't know the specifics yet because the developers aren't here.
Okay, we'll give more context in text. It's also shown on our future land use map, just like a rough kind of scale of where we want to see it. Most of our context will be written out in the actual text itself. Again, we just want you to know that it's there and make sure you like the idea of it.
Okay. Thank you for helping me understand that. I did also want to comment on this map. I really like, just me personally speaking, the emphasis on 7th North and 8th North about pedestrian and bike facilities there. I think that's completely appropriate. I did want to comment, though, as we make those changes to make those safer places for those modes of transportation, I think it's going to be really important that we do have a way for cars to get through, and I think that's going to be 5th North probably. Mm-hmm. So I would say, yes, those pink dots along 5th North, by all means, let's make those safer intersections, but I would be hesitant to make 5th North also like pedestrian priority primarily area, because there has to be east-west connectivity, and that road goes to the library and the rec center and shopping, and as someone who's on the east side and has to get across Provo, frequently, as we change the focus of 8th North and 7th North, or really emphasize that, I think there has to be somewhere to cut through the city. And as you know, there's no longer a road through BYU, and if you go to Center Street turns into also pedestrian priority. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to say, I would be hesitant to say 5th North, let's make that also exactly like 7th and 8th North. I think there should be a difference there in purpose.
Yeah, and we agree. It is a little farther from
campus.
Yeah.
Well, there's still a lot of pedestrian
traffic. Yeah,
and
I fully acknowledge that.
My experience, I mean, this
is
purely anecdotal, but my experience is, I think 5th North is the least drivable of those three streets. It's very narrow, and there are lots of apartments, and there's lots of cars that block visibility. I avoid that street at all costs, driving or biking. I think it's the most dangerous street of those three. That's my experience. I don't know.
It's my preferred route.
North feels to me like the best way to get across. If you're in a car, even though it's single lane, it moves relatively fast. You just go with that one light at the UVX stop.
Yeah, it lasts forever.
I think all three of them are actually pretty good and don't necessarily need huge capacity improvements.
Well, we're talking about
Just all those student apartments and the cars coming
Yeah,
in
yeah,
and
yeah,
out.
yeah.
I'm just like, that road is always my least favorite. But
And it doesn't go through the 9th East.
That's right.
but it will.
So,
It will eventually. It's on our capital improvements phase 1 project that was approved in the last version of the transportation master plan. I see the purpose of Fifth North changing over the next few years, 10 years or so. I think it's a viable alternative.
Its right of way will never widen though. Your properties are too close to it, so you can never make that road wider than it is now. You shouldn't.
and it has the bend in the road.
Right.
I'm just suggesting, like, this plan is saying, it's considering, like, shutting down 8th North was an alternative suggestion to be pedestrian protect that. And I'm saying if you're going to change the nature of 8th and 7th to be more and more and more pedestrian friendly, you have to offer other alternatives for other modes of transportation. That's all I'm suggesting, personally.
Wasn't the suggestion to make 8th possibly the UVX route?
Yes, that was one of the suggestions.
But then 7th would become more open to cars without UVX there.
That's correct.
That's true. That's true.
So,
That could
yeah,
be a viable
if they
alternative.
close 800 North, it would be because they are moving UVX. And if UVX moves, that provides extra capacity on 7th.
Which is really the best road as far as width and visibility and everything.
Sure.
I think it's sorry.
Just as far as from east-west, 5th, there's always traffic backed up to Cross University in both directions.
Yes.
It's
Yeah, that intersection can't handle it. 7th, of course, ends at Freedom, which is tough. I mean, all these streets end where they shouldn't.
problematic.
Right.
I do think it's worth noting that the north-south pedestrian traffic is more people than the east-west vehicle traffic. Like, so Provo has to prioritize the north-south pedestrian traffic across these streets, which is weird to say. Like, we always talk about, oh, pedestrians are this thing that inconveniences cars and traffic engineering. But in this case, like, the pedestrians have to be the priority. And we can fit the cars in where we can.
I think we are making them the priority. I think if you go along 7th, there are 18 crosswalks in that section, as there should be.
And there need to be, yes.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying if there's a place where we do have room for compromise, I feel like Fifth North is a better place. Okay. Anyone else have comments on questions on any of these?
I actually do.
Yeah.
I know the micromobility conversation isn't started a new one, but is there any way to accommodate for that?
That's a great question. I mean, we could probably add detail to text, but I'm not sure if we put it in maps. So that's a great note.
I'm not exactly how you would show it.
It's the bike lanes, right?
So what?
It's the bike lanes and the shared use paths.
Well, and if that is what we deem appropriate for micromobility, though, unless we're going to try to scale it in a different, because bikers and e-bikes and scooters and small-scale scooters and everything like that versus pedestrians, got a wide range of people.
Right.
Didn't you say last time, Greg, that, like, we have sidewalks and roads, but there's different kinds of transportation?
That's right. No, I agree with that, yeah.
I'm just saying, as we continue the discussion, maybe that needs to be included into.
Okay, we go to the front runner station plan. Thank you, Beth. I have a question. Front runner, go down. It's the last one. Yeah, so I see that we are adding in a bike lane on, like a major bike lane on 5th South. We're always looking for more bike lanes and more connectivity. I was just wondering if anyone could explain the thought behind how that will be functioning, how that fits into, like, why that was chosen. Not against, I just want to know, hey, what was the thought there?
Yeah, so some of the issue is that there isn't actually a very good east-west bike lane in the south part of the city, in the central part there. Like, we have these really great bike facilities on 200 East and on 300 West to some extent. Getting across, like, cyclists can ride in traffic on Center Street, although many choose not to. And so then the idea was like, okay, as we build out this bike network, having the opportunity to have maybe a bike-only intersection across University there at 4th or 5th, kind of like what we have north-south. That's kind of the idea. 6th South is tricky because it ends at Freedom.
Right.
And so, you know, if we build out across 900 South, eventually that would be good. But right now, there's no, like, good bike facility to go from the west side of South Provo to the east side of South Provo. Like, there are lots of informal streets that you can ride on, and it works. But having it, exactly.
And you felt good about this one?
I feel pretty good about this one.
Okay, okay.
I mean, the choice of 4th South versus 5th South, it's like, they're basically.
Yes, sir.
So just a little bit of information on that.
Yeah.
I believe we talked about an area, there's 6 South going over to 1st West there. And then it goes up from there to 5th and then across. And Greg's absolutely right. That's kind of the thinking that we were going. We don't, 6 doesn't go all the way through, right?
Yeah.
5th does. So I guess I'm reading this map right, and I went through these in line item a 3 weeks ago. But I think that is supposed to go under the bridge at 6 South there and connect to 1st West.
Vern, can you remind us what the intersection's going to be like at 5th when the bridge is done?
So
is it going to go? Is it not going to be across
for 6th or for 5th?
For 5th.
There will not be. 5th will be a right in, right out only.
For vehicles, but for bicycles as well?
For everybody. Yeah. Because of that, coming over the bridge itself and coming down the hill. However, the good news is the new light, we get full movement on 4th.
Okay.
So we're moving moving up to 4th South. Or, 4th South.
So some of this 5th South plan won't be able to happen because of the bridge that's the.
Well, the dotted line east of University needs to not be on the map because it's not going to be able to connect.
So does
Across
that,
the street, there's no crossing there.
so does that mean we should move it to 4th?
We
Well,
could,
there's one on 4th.
Well,
yeah,
I'm just saying, like,
Well, we have 6th going all the way, but especially, let me go up to 4th.
I
This is,
just want to make a plan for something where it won't go through.
It needs to go over to here,
Yeah.
right? Then it goes up. I don't know why that link is missing right there. And then, I don't know why they're showing this. Corrected it, but, you know, consultants, right? Say that I come from. So, Freedom Boulevard has bike lanes all the way up to, 3rd South. We want to continue those to 3rd South, but we're not recommending them north of there. I told Chris Huff that, our consultant, that we remove those. Sometimes they like to press the envelope a little bit, right? And so, anyway, that was my thought. So I'm seeing a couple of things that did not get in consistent with our current transportation master plan and our current bike plan.
I'm concerned about the 5th South connection west of Freedom, just because those streets are really hard to cross, even in a car. So is there going to be something that assists a pedestrian or if their bike lanes get across that street, or do they just have to wait for a gap and hope for the best?
I think there would have to be a bike-only intersection, kind of like what we have in
Like a crosswalk that you can push the button to activate? Because otherwise, in a car, driving across Freedom or driving across 500 West is really tricky to get to the west side.
It is.
And so on a bike, I think it would be dangerous, especially if we realize that some of these users will be kids who don't have e-bikes maybe and are going to be slow and unsteady as they cross the street in this place that we told them was safe.
I think you'll see 5th and Freedom someday with a traffic signal. Now, Kahan did an analysis and we put in a full pedestrian movement at that intersection, 2 years ago, 1.5 ago, Kahan?
Something like that, yeah.
We have a lot of pedestrian traffic. I think you'll end up seeing that warrant traffic signal in the next 5 to 7 years.
How does that work with the train there?
Well, it's at Fifth and Freedom, so
Just one block up, but
it's one block up.
it'll back up.
Yeah.
There's a limit to how much you can put on a map, and layers on layers. It would help me, and I don't know if there's a way to do this, or some kind of a web map or something to be able to put a functional classification map on there, or the transportation master plan, to be able to say, here's where the vehicles are routed to go versus this, because this by itself, it's kind of a piece of the pie, but then we're talking about how does this intersect with, future capital facilities that are planned. Anyway, so it's kind of working in a vacuum with this, but part of a bigger pie. And I don't know if there's a way, you could do that through PDF with layers or kind of a web map.
This is clearly our most complicated plan, because there's there's all those future projects that are coming, and I'm not exactly sure how those will look. So maybe just be really mindful of those. Maybe probably have been, but okay.
How far up is the bike lane on, Freedom? How far beyond this map are we thinking that might go?
Also in that third, which it currently does.
That third north?
Yeah, third, I think it's
Third south.
third south is where it currently ends, and I think maybe what Chris was thinking is to extend it through the downtown area. But our right of way in the downtown area on Freedom, all the way up to 2230, is extremely limited. And that's why I asked not to have that go all the way up there.
I'm just curious, I avoid it for that reason, but if we were gonna extend it a little bit, it looks like you are proposing to extend it up to center.
I think Rick's point is that maybe it shouldn't be drawn that way. I think
Yeah.
investing on 300 West instead of bike lanes on Freedom makes a lot of sense.
Well, yeah, I guess it, I don't think it needs to go farther north than center maybe, but I like that it seems like it's useful up to that point, and then you have to go someplace else. But if you're just getting to downtown, but I don't,
There's probably enough space there
for a little one.
Yeah.
There's one on 100, right? Does that one go up all the way? Or is that just pedestrians?
So there's a good bike lane on Freedom up to 100 South, right? So then there's a good bike lane on 100 South.
I'm saying 100 West and 300 West. Isn't the new one past the startup building
Right.
the bike lane that goes all the way up? And that gets you to 100 South.
The bike lane on the lower Freedom is really usable, and it's nice and wide, and I do use that quite a bit, but then I'm always like, okay, now where do I go? If it went a little bit further, that would not be bad. But I would not want it to go, all the way up, because doesn't seem like safe. But if getting to Center Street on a bike lane on Freedom is possible, I just don't have a clear sense in my mind of how much space there is.
It does tie in now to the new bike lanes on Third South. With the reconstruction last year of that entire facility, now we have the full east-west moving on Third South as well. The challenge with that is that it is 35 miles an hour on that road instead of our regular. Well, that's actually 30 on Freedom.
They also have the bike crossing the south project, help traffic on bike.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Those are at 100 and 300, right?
Right.
So it seems like the Freedom Boulevard problem could be addressed with infrastructure that was just put in by saying, you want to go past Center Street, go 300. You want to go to Center Street, go 100. And
And the 100 West one matches what the financial fully adopted. The downtown. So you're right, that matches. And the third west one is our bike corridor, the west side of the south, all the way up to 8. Is that right? 8 1?
It goes, technically, it goes up to because it ends kind of at the rec center, but you can get around the rec center and then go up by Carl's Jr. and get on the Provo River Trail. I guess my question is, you have a lot, the first south bike path, the first south bike lane is very good between Freedom and Fifth West. Do you need 5 lanes of capacity on Freedom between First and Third?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, we've got some TOD stuff that's been looked at and talked about. We are going to see the traffic on Freedom Boulevard over the next couple.
Are you planning to widen it from Third to Sixth? Or is it going to stay one lane there?
Well, unfortunately, I think we're limited.
I think you're limited in right-of-way. So I guess my question is, so you're limited in right-of-way south of 300 South. And, like, there's not a lot of additional traffic generators between Third and First. I'm just curious, like, what would a traffic simulation show if we did a lane reduction on Second West between First and Third South?
I really would have. I don't think Freedom is Freedom's like 7th and 9th, right?
Right.
I don't have a lot of right of way, but it carries a heck of a lot of traffic north and southbound.
Right, but what I'm saying is a lot of that demand, I think, comes on north of First South.
And it could, but, you know, here's a whole land use plan that, we haven't even looked at the land use, right?
Right, we're just doing the transportation.
We got a whole land use plan around the intermodal center that is gonna go higher density, and it's gonna spark more development.
But how many of those people would take bikes if we had a good bike lane all the way to First South?
What percentage do we have now in total city with bike riders?
I mean, 38% non-motorized for work.
Well, for mode share, it's 0.02, less than 2%.
But that's for all trips, though.
We'll be looking more at next month, like what Provo is coming, and we can do a deeper dive into connectivity.
I was wondering, maybe if it makes it easier, we could start at the most northern plan, the 2230 north one, see if anyone has any thoughts about it, and then you guys can make a motion, make a recommendation. Hopefully it's favorable. And then we can keep going
I
south.
think we can do all of them. I think we're ready.
Yeah? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah? Okay.
I think we're ready to do it. Let's just do it. And we have other agenda items, so thank you though for that offer.
No worries.
So I think the question we will vote, this will be official vote, TMAC. Do we recommend these station area transportation maps to the Planning Commission?
With the stated changes from Brent.
With the stated changes from Vern, thank you.
We'll have to include those by any means.
What's included?
Will we be able to see the description once you guys get all of that?
I'm sure Hannah will bring it back to us. Yeah. So I guess
And these weren't actually done in GIS, these were done in Bluebeam. So they're not actually the final maps, they are just we don't want to put it all into GIS until we get buy-in, right?
Yeah, sure. So all in favor of recommending these with the changes discussed at this time in this form? Yes, all. Anyone against? Okay, unanimous. Great. Okay, then let's move on. Dave Mickelson is here to talk with us about road maintenance, one of our favorite topics at TMAC. It always feels really important, truly.
Good one.
It is a good one.
I don't want to go full
So this is the plan for the upcoming year? Is that what we're looking at?
Yep. For the current year that we're in, this is what we have proposed. So here on the left is going to be our road rehab, and on the right is our crack seal. I'll go over crack seal real quick, and then I can spend a little bit more time on the road rehab. Our crack seal efforts, we have kind of 2 goals with that. One is to seal everything that was resurfaced the year before, to kind of just help eliminate it in the water next to the curb and gutter and the asphalt on the apparatus there. And then we look to also doing other roads that need that sealant on there. And so you can see that designation. The red is the ones that need the sealing, and the green ones are previous projects or overlays that we've done in the last couple of years, kind of help seal those. So this is a fairly decent sized project. We've got a pretty good company this year, and we're hoping to start in the next 2 weeks with this work. So they'll be in the neighborhood near you. Our road rehab project, this is slightly larger than last year. Last year we focused on 2 roads, Center Street and 10th View. This year we're branching out a little bit more. Our focus are kind of on 3 major roads. So we're focusing on 3rd South, 800 North, and then a little bit of Canyon Road. And we've kind of centralized our additional work in the residential area around those and have prioritized kind of our low-ranking roads around those collectors and arterials. On the west side, we're going to be doing microsurfacing in those 3 neighborhoods, kind of just bringing some of those neighborhoods up a little bit with that kind of medium treatment on those roads. That's what we're looking at. We're really hoping to make some improvements here. I think one of the highlights, I know a lot of people have called about this, at least for me, is up on Canyon Road. We're doing that connection road from Canyon down to University, 2650.
Oh, man, that thing is so bad.
It's terrible, so we're going to be improving that.
I'm so glad to hear that.
It's going to be,
Like, this is the worst road in Provo.
it's pretty close, yeah.
I mean, it's so small that it's not that huge of a deal, but it's so bad.
Yeah, it's really bad, so.
A little connecting road between Canyon.
It's a really steep one.
At the fire station,
Mhm.
it goes to the intersection on University, right?
Correct.
It goes into the country club?
By Will.
Yeah.
Or are you talking about the one by Will's?
That, I just
No,
assumed
that
that was a private road that we were just
Will's Pitch?
cutting.
No,
through.
the one that's cutting, that kind of goes down.
Going
towards-
south, and you get past the fire station, and there's a little cut that goes, and if you go straight through the intersection, you go to the country club.
Yeah.
I don't even use that.
Everyone really likes it. There's a lot of traffic.
Google Maps recommends it to me all the time when I'm going places.
It used to be really important before there was a right turn lane
Yeah, now
on
you don't get
2230
backed up
onto
at
University. You could avoid that whole intersection that way.
So,
does the microsurfacing last?
it kind of depends on the state of the road we put it on. Average is 3 to 7 years.
How long does it take to put on?
A day or 2. It's a pretty quick process.
It's right in front of the elementary school on the west side, that's why I'm like, oh gosh.
So all this work, so that has to be done in the height of the summer. So that will be done in July and August when it's the hottest. That's how micro does the best. So that won't happen for a while. We have stipulations in our contract to where they can start and can't start. We're not too concerned with any of these areas necessarily for school, but we're kind of we're going to kind of work from west to east in that direction. So we'll probably start in the lower Grandview area. Yeah.
I noticed that you have the route and crack seal for those same purple neighborhoods.
Mhm.
Is that just because you go back and paint the lines after you're done?
No, so we crack seal them before we micro, and that is to help sealant. Micro surfacing doesn't act as a sealant on the road, and so we seal all the cracks prior to that. The micro surfacing is
It's not any grinding at
resurfacing.
all, it's just like when you put the tar stuff on top of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the cracks. So, so that's kind of a combined effort that we kind of do there.
One thing you might want to check is that the school that it's in front of, is it Amelia Earhart?
No, it's Lakeview Elementary.
Yeah.
Are they one of those that serves lunch all summer long?
Oh,
Because if they
no,
are, that would be a
because
problem.
usually the kids from Lakeview go to.
Okay. Good?
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
Okay, now we get to hear about our capital projects from multiple of our city engineers. Danielle?
It'll be kind of we'll just kind of go in
We'll
order.
do them? Okay, you know what, you guys do it however you want to do it.
Yeah.
Present, great.
So I'll jump in first. I've got a couple, and then we'll go over, Danielle's got a couple projects, and then we've got a combined project that we're all contributing to, so I'll kind of introduce that first. On the left here, we have our trip hazards project. This is a very small scale project. We try to dedicate a little bit of our funds of our sidewalk replacement to this. This is the proposed plan. We got really good bids this year, so this is actually, we were anticipating this to be about half of our budget. It's about, I don't know how many cracks it is, but it's not these whole sections, right? It's just a couple in each of these blobs there on the map. It actually ends up going to be about 1/10 of our budget. So we're actually going to be able to extend quite a bit on our trip hazards. And we're looking to extend in the areas that we're kind of doing around the school areas. So we're really happy about this project, that we've got for these traffic hazards. We have a plethora of them in the city, and so we're happy to have a good price this year to be able to knock out a lot of those. A20 North Bridge, this will be one of our largest projects this year. Currently, we are at 90% plans. And so within the next about 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to finish plans and get our bidding documents put together. We are working through the process with the Corps for our permits, and we anticipate that this will start construction in June. So probably early next month, well, I shouldn't say early next month. Late next month, we'll probably have official plans and things that will be posted on our website, and we'll be, keeping the public involved with that. So we anticipate that will be the rest of the year for that project.
What's the width of the deck on that bridge?
The deck will be 46 or 48 feet currently. It's planned to be larger for the future, but what we're constructing at will match the width of the roadway right now.
Okay.
What's the detour route, and how does that, with those previous projects you had on 820, are you?
It's right in front of your house, no.
This is not right in front of
The detour.
Yeah, great question. So our proposed detour route, we're going to be utilizing Independence Avenue and 5th West to push people to 5th North. And so
5th North.
5th North, prior to this project starting, we are going to restripe, well, it's not restriping, we are going to stripe 5th North to help direct traffic along 5th North. So that is our main detour route. We will be managing that pretty heavily and making sure that cut-through traffic through neighborhoods and local streets is minimized. We understand it's going to happen, but we're going to try to beef up our traffic control plan to push people that direction. So along 820 North, at both roundabouts, we'll be directing people back, and then at 5th West, we'll be directing people.
What's the proposed duration?
We're anticipating 6 to 9 months. So it'll probably be the end of the year, and depending on when we get to paving activities, it may stretch into early spring the following year to finish that.
Is there a pedestrian management plan for the river trail?
Yes, so we are going in with a different project to put in some ADA ramps to direct traffic around. So we'll have one on either side. We've got a pretty good system on this side of the bridge. So for the river trail, if you're not going to continue down the river, you can detour this direction, get to 820 North. If you're coming down the river, we'll drop you off here. We're going to put on ADA ramps through this section here. So we'll come down and bring you back up to the trail this direction. So we'll have those improvements done prior to construction starting as well. We're doing that as part of a different project. So that's kind of our proposed detour route for pedestrians. And the vehicles, we're hoping that most of them will correct that behavior and not cut through traffic, but go to 5th North.
David, tell them about how we get the implement on this.
We need,
Get the implement bike.
oh, there you go. Yeah, so we're going to be putting in 2 lanes of traffic and bike lanes along 5th North.
And they can't park anymore?
There will be, there will be,
Five houses.
Yeah.
We got a 10.
Oh, really? At the rest of them, they can't park?
So we get it from Independence Avenue all the way over to 5th West, and that's in our transportation master.
That'll be a nice
For
connection.
on-street bike lanes there.
That'll be a nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
you can
you.
go next slide here. Yeah. Okay, so this is the start of our slides. This is a combined project. We've called it the Sidewalk Improvement Project. It's a well, we have a different project on here too, but it's a combination of different refuge islands, some intersection improvements, some new sidewalks for schools. So it's kind of a combination of a number of different things. We'll just note it that it's part of that project if it is. So the 2 projects that I'm over in that kind of grouping is the Apple Avenue and Locust Lane intersection and the 560 North 900 East Refuge Island.
At Apple and Locust?
We're just doing, we're doing bump outs.
Good.
And, the kind of pedestrian improvements, ADA ramps and all that. Some additional lighting, so that will be good. Refuge Island at 560 North, we've seen kind of some concepts here in this plan, or this meeting last year. It will look something similar to that. It's been modified to kind of meet some of the overarching needs for the intersection. But that will be kind of blocking off those two east-west movements from 560 and allowing a pedestrian crossing there.
So that'll be right in and right out only, correct?
Correct.
That's you.
So I had a citizen contact me just a couple of days ago about the Apple bulb outs,
Yeah,
and I don't know.
I haven't heard.
I talked to Sean.
Okay.
Oh,
I didn't know anything about, I mean, I said, I probably just frustrated him because I said, well, we appropriated the money. I know that the parents and the TMAC and the engineers were talking and deciding on how that money was going to be spent and which things
he
were
doesn't want them?
he didn't seem very happy.
When I spoke to him, he does, yeah, there was a couple of reasons why he didn't want it there.
You spoke to him when?
Maybe a week and a half ago.
I
Yeah.
spoke to him a couple of weeks ago too, so I was making around.
Yeah.
I'm happy to,
I told him to contact you.
Yeah,
because
have
you
him
would
talk
know
to
the
me, 'cause-
history of.
yeah, with like the whole safe route conversation, I'm happy to talk with him.
Yeah, it's just one of those cases of somebody who hears about it too late and then feels like it wasn't publicized and, who made the decisions and.
Okay,
that
yeah,
wasn't
happy to
terribly
talk with
helpful.
him.
Okay.
But it's, like, right now we have two crosswalks that end in each other, not on a sidewalk, like, this definitely needs to happen, so I'm happy to talk to him.
I love that intersection. I used to ride through it on my paper route, and it was good because I could like really lean into that turn, take that turn at like 40 miles an
now
hour
that'll
on
be
my
harder
bike.
now.
And I'm
Sorry.
sure that I would be upset with that too. I've got to slow down to make that
Yeah,
turn
it'll
now.
be rough.
How dare you?
On a hill with children. But, okay, sorry, keep going. I'm trying to make sure we have time for all the awesome things on our agenda.
Yeah, so those are my two projects. I'll let Kehan take the rest of the slide here.
Yeah, thank you. So 50 East 8 North, it's going to be a refuge island on the west leg. We have a center lane that there's no left turn, so cars cannot turn left. So we're going to utilize the center lane and we're going to do a big median there. So refuge island will go there. We are going to put some flashing beacons. So our goal is to improve the safety of pedestrians at this location. And we're also putting 2 street lights. So we're going to make it pretty well lit. On the east leg, there is an existing crosswalk there. We are going to discontinue that. So that crosswalk will not continue. Instead, we're going to have everybody use our proposed refuge island to cross there. And then on the
So you're just saying cross on the west side of the
Yes.
street, instead of the east side of the street?
Okay, thank you.
There's an existing crossing on the east side.
Right.
Oh, I see. I was like, oh, you're crosswalk.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's, and also we're going to be improving the curb and gutter right now. We have deep trough curb and gutter, some storm improvement as well. So that's pretty much how this will look like. This project, like Mikkel said, it is part of a combined project, so it's already bid out. We have a contractor on board, and we're going to be starting it this summer, right? Couple weeks, yeah.
Okay.
And then the 2 other projects, so CDBG Phase 1, 500 North, 400 East, I've presented to this committee in the past regarding this project. So we applied, we got funding, CDBG funding about $250,000 for this project. Initially, we were proposing some safety improvements, but after digging in further, doing a full traffic study analysis, it came out and it warranted a traffic signal. So it met 3 of the warrant, basically categories or criteria. So we have a full design of traffic signal at this intersection. It's going to be the traffic signal and street lighting on basically all 4 legs. And then also 6 North, 4th East, Phase 2 of Joaquin, intersection improvement. Also CDBG application, about $225,000 is what we got funding-wise. What we are going to be doing, we're proposing bulb outs here, street lighting. We're going to be restriping it with some storm improvement, curb and gutter, sidewalk, ADA ramps.
Wow.
That's right, from the Avenue Chapel, you guys know where that's at.
Okay, so these are my projects. So the first one, Lakeview Parkway in 2000 North. We are completing 2-lane road up to the Orem border, and then completing 2000 North from Lakeview Parkway up to Geneva Road. Did Morgan's have to move? So, utilities have been put in for the most part, except for sewer. We're only doing 2 lanes at this time, because sewer still needs to make it all the way up to the lift station. But we will have full width on 2000 North, so that will be in place. And then on Canyon Road, we're doing 2 sidewalk projects, part of the sidewalk improvements overall project. Just making some small connections near the elementary schools that are missing, especially the one that's up by Foothill. There's a crosswalk to the south of Foothill that is dangerous for children to be crossing at. So this will help them get to the light better and cross at the light instead of in the middle of Canyon Road.
Is Canyon Crest?
Canyon Crest is up on the north end.
Canyon,
Yeah. Edgemont is on the south, yep.
By doing this improvement, we will get rid of the mid-block crosswalk on the road right now where we have a crossing guard. They've asked for, a lot of assistance there, trying to, help vehicles stop and be able to the crossing guard and the students. So now we'll be able to take them north up to the traffic signal where we have already another existing crossing guard. Quickly get them over to.
And all this work, we'll make sure that it's done and kids aren't affected by this work.
Question, is that, I'm assuming that lines up with Orem's plan to.
Yes, yeah, Orem should be matching in there. They said that they were going to be doing that this year. They are not doing that this year. So yeah, they'll probably be coming in 4 years.
But it will be fully connected either way, right?
Yeah.
Right now, even if they don't do whatever they were gonna do, it disconnects it.
This connects it up to Geneva.
Well, do you know what the projected traffic that route is?
I can get that for you, I'll have to run.
I was gonna say, because Geneva's.
Get that.
At the end of our project?
We got one more. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, these are mine. The one on the left is part of the sidewalk improvements. It's across from Sunset Elementary, south side of 600 South. We're gonna wrap that around, on the east side of 1600 West and connect to the sidewalk that trying to get.
Ice in the States.
Ice in the States.
Yep.
So we're gonna finish that out, connect it, and, we're gonna have, ADA ramps on the corner, on 1600 West, on 1400 West. I believe we're doing just straight across, right? Not crossing 600. So crossing, 1400 West.
East-west.
East-west movement, not north-south. We're in the process of getting, Provo Power to move poles back to accommodate the path that or the sidewalk. Last year, we were gonna do an asphalt path, but we upgraded it and decided to do a concrete path and move it to this year.
And this isn't gonna do curb and gutter, it's just.
It is gonna be,
it's
it's gonna
full
be
curb and gutter?
curb and gutter. We have some, stormwater improvements. A lot of the telecommunications have already, there's stuff underground. We still have some on 1600 West to do.
This was gonna be the project where we added a pavement pathway last year. We pulled our funds and decided to only lock 1 year and be able to get the full enchilada. So we've got stormwater, all new facilities through there that Emma's been and connecting much needed sidewalk on the south side.
So, but that's just going to that first, all the way down to connect.
No.
I'm just thinking of a shoreline right there, not just Sunset.
The safer route for those kids to use would be 1400 anyway.
It would be.
Get in there on the interior, that's where we have the crosswalks and shoreline.
And the one, any other questions on that one? Thank you. The other one on the right is, 600 South from just connecting the pedestrian bridge, that's right by the railroad, all the way to 400 East, but we have it split up into two phases. The first phase ends at 200 East, and then the second phase is from 200 to 400 East. We're doing, there's a couple things going on with utilities. I'm trying to coordinate with some utility companies, telecommunications. UDOT is doing the University Bridge improvement there. So there's going to be a lot going on, but
When does that start?
In May.
April, May, yeah.
Award was bid later in April. And
And goes through.
they're gonna come and present to TMAC as soon as we get them.
And we're hoping to get this started this summer, right? Everybody?
Give them a caveat, it all depends on the cooperation of Union Pacific Railroad on this one.
We've been working, well, we've been working with them for a couple of years, so hopefully, yeah.
How are you getting pedestrians from the south side of the street to the other, like, I'm assuming this is so they feed into those throughways on 200 and 400. There's gonna be a crosswalk at both of those roads?
Yes, I believe those are where our crosswalks are. Yeah.
First, yes, First West, we should already have it at First West.
Right, that one already goes in.
So.
And then Second East and
Second
400, yeah.
400 East will, I'm still looking at things. 200 East is really our bike lane,
Right.
so I'm looking at that.
Right, that's the one that would obviously, and that, right now there's signage that directs people to take that on their bikes and walking, but I just wanna make sure there was gonna be, and if there's a crosswalk, is there going to be some sort of a light that, for them to cross?
Probably no lights, just striping and ADA ramp. The sidewalk is going to be 10 feet wide. That whole stretch, as far as we can go. On the phase 2, it narrows at the end because of right of way. We can't do 10 feet, so it kind of narrows down.
So it's gonna be 10 feet like South State Street where bikes can use it too?
Yes,
Nice.
absolutely.
Or micro.
So then everybody can get onto that side of the road before the train station instead of having to cross up further. That's good. Like,
Is there any-
We have bike lanes,
yeah, that's good. I like.
you know. And we'll have.
Because the bike lanes right there are always filled with debris and I never want to ride my bike in them anyway, so a sidewalk.
Urban Better will help that, because right now we have no access management whatsoever there. So the UP trucks.
They're just
come
coming on and off.
Anywhere they
Yeah.
want, they're driving mud and gravel everywhere.
So
We're gonna limit them to
We
two
have
accesses there.
two driveways for the railroad, and then 2 crosswalks and several parking spots as well.
Is there a plan to do a sidewalk on the north side of that street between First and University?
Is that one missing?
Yeah,
There's nothing there.
there's no sidewalk between First and University, and I assume there will be one between
is that-
University and First West when the new structure
On
goes
the north
in.
side of the street.
On the north side of the street, there's
Yeah.
nothing there. There's
I
a beacon.
don't think we have plans for
interstate
that,
roofing.
but that's,
You're
No,
talking
there-
about right here, right?
Yeah, there's no
That's right.
no current plans for that right now.
Do we have any plans for, like, separating on those multi-use paths, the different users a little bit? I worry that if they get more used, the, pedestrians and the bikers and the skateboarders are gonna collide. I mean, can we say wheels on this side, feet on this side or something?
That's like a good idea, too.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Striping,
not too,
striping.
most of the time, 9th East doesn't have a whole lot of traffic, so I don't feel like it's super urgent, but there have been times where, again, it's the phones, the pedestrians are just not looking, or if you're coming at each other, like a biker coming up or a skateboarder or whatever, not skateboarder, the, scooters, and you don't know which person's going which way. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just worried that as these get more used, it's gonna get a little more
Yeah, I think it's something that we can, we don't have anything planned up front, but I think it's something that we can keep an eye on. If it requires striping or something in the future, that's something we could definitely look at, because I think that's a great idea to be able to separate that. So we'll look at the use and then go from there.
But at minimum, it's gonna have a direction, like, there'll at least be a stripe down the middle to direct, no.
Not in our
you know?
current plan.
Yeah, and they don't have that on 19, it's just a big wide
That's
thing.
true. I was thinking there was a stripe there.
But, hey, this could be a pilot for that, we could look at that. We're working with MAG now for some things on that throughout, some of the wide trails. We work with Parks and Rec.
The one on South State Street has a stripe down the middle, but it doesn't separate users, and I think it works okay with the volume of traffic. So, well, you know, if there's something to just divide directions, then it works mixed.
But did you also tell them that will be a fence right away?
Oh, right. Yeah, there is a fence 8 inches north of our right-of-way, so line. So, we'll have, I think, a 4 or 5 foot fence preventing pedestrians from going onto the railroad property.
So between the railroad and the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so not between the roads, just.
No, on the south side, on the back of Walk.
Help prevent trespassers from coming through the rail yard.
Okay, thank you for that update. We're going to try to at least give a few minutes to James. We're grateful he's here. This is part of our conversation about micromobility. Last time we heard from Sandy, an update on the scooters, and now we have Parks and Rec coming to talk to us, right? About micromobility?
Yeah, it's an ongoing continuation.
Yeah, we'll keep.
Scooters and different, wheeled
14
vehicles.
different modes of
Yeah.
transportation that we have on our roads.
So we'll go over.
I think James is gonna talk about the trail part, right?
Yeah, go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, thanks for having us here. I'll be actively, involved in this conversation. I didn't have anything prepared. I thought I was here mostly to answer questions and everything, but I could give you kind of a short synopsis, I guess, of what our plan is and some of our experience. Obviously, since micromobility has become more popular, we're seeing a lot more user conflict, right, on the recreational trail side of things. A lot of that's on the Provo River Trail. We know that, has a dual purpose there. As a transportation corridor as well as serves a recreational purpose. A lot of the problems that we see or hear is speed, right? Relative speed of these, e-bikes and scooters and things like that, relative to the walker jogger, right? So we've talked about a lot of different things on how we can do that. In city code, there is a official speed limit on like the River Trail, 15 miles an hour. That seems very fast if you've got a bike passing you 15 miles an hour and you're walking, right? So it's something that we want to consider, and we've had multiple conversations within our own group of lowering that limit there. But what we would like to do in the coming future is have some funds identified where we would like to, from a Parks and Recreation Center, do a master planning effort from a recreational trail standpoint, right? Our primary focus will be the recreation side of things. It's going to encompass natural surface trails and, surface trail system, but key component is that is going to be addressing the micromobility issue on recreational trails, on trails like the Provo River. We just, talked about how we can connect those to the transportation network of all these things that you guys have talked about. We want to make sure that we have good connectivity between, a recreational use and a transportation use, understanding that a lot of those serve a dual purpose, right? So we want to address those things as well. But our hope is, as we go through this master planning effort, that we can have a consultant help us try to navigate some of those things and how we, what we want to allow, speed limit wise, separated use or separated, directional traffic. You've seen the improvements that we've made on the Provo River Trail. Our last section of the Provo River Central section, which is from Exchange Park up to Granbury, have funding, TMAC funding that's come in. That project will be starting construction hopefully this summer, but making those final improvements on the Provo River Trail, so improving those under crossings, widening the trail width, making a more variable grade, you know, coming in and out of those undercrossings, like you've seen on the other sections. That you, a lot of improvements will be made there, adding some more solar lighting along. So, increase safety. So, we're trying to address those things. We're pretty excited about this because this is the last river trail that hasn't been tested. It's needed, right? You guys have been on that trail section. It's very fun. It is.
Gives you thought of it.
Yeah, it does. But we're excited about that. We're excited about, you know, looking forward and, like I said, with this master plan, try to help guide more of the things we are doing there. Another interesting part of this micromobility issue, not that it's authorized, but we see a lot of that activity in the park system. It raises a lot of problems for us. That's not the place, but we see a lot of users, especially on the e-bikes, you know, finding places to ride inside of a park. And, you know, when you're talking about neighborhood park activities or the traditional neighborhood park activities, these really don't fit there. And so, trying to navigate those. A lot of this, I mean,
You're talking about the e-dirt bikes.
yeah. Mm-hmm. You see a lot of kids commuting to school on those. You know, a park, going across the park is easy route for them. At some user conflicts, we had an incident up at Riverview Park, not too long ago, on this e-bike, okay, lane there. We want to do everything we can to avoid, you know, user conflicts, but I think that it is an important part. They're used properly and used as they need to be, but how we see this interface between a park setting, transportation setting, we want to make sure that we're looking closely, like Ron said, we want to work closely with Public Works and have those connectivity, we have those that how those relate to park settings.
Yes.
Since we've talked about some of these things before, would this be a good setting to communicate to the parks department what we have in here?
Absolutely, TMAC, ask questions.
Yeah,
We have so much we could say to you. Go,
I wrote
Lisa,
some notes down while you were talking of things we've talked about before that you may not have ever heard or would be useful to you. So the first one we've talked about is that some of those e-vehicles do not have speedometers. So it's all well and good to say 15 miles per hour, but they don't all have the ability to know how fast they're going. And even like just a regular person on a regular bike is sometimes speeding on the Provo River Trail because they're trying to get their miles in as soon as possible. So to have some way to figure out what that even means if you don't have a speedometer. So that's one thing. Another thing, I went to a couple classes on micromobility and trails at the transportation conference that we had, the mobility conference. And I went to a class that was basically talking about the Washington County trail systems and how each of the cities work together on it. And I was really impressed with their signage that they did and their educational efforts that they did to help people understand, like this kind of thing, like what you see on the slides right now, where people understood what they were driving and what was allowed where and when. And then they had a lot of like trail etiquette signage that was there, and it was across the boundary. So for us, that wouldn't be as important for Orem to have the same signage as us, but to educate people whose moms haven't told them you're supposed to ride in a certain way, or who've never done it before.
or whose moms don't even know, like this whole chart.
Yeah,
You know?
it might be helpful to see what they did in regards to education signage, and they even really impressed me with what they did about proactive ticketing, just that they were ticketing people for violating things and they meant it, you know? So instead of just having signs that someone's gonna high five as they go past and be like, heh, whatever, but to have I really feel like the focus on information when we're doing all these new rules that no one's ever thought about before, I think it would help us too, because we have a lot of young users, a lot of new users, a lot of people from other places that may have signs at their parks that taught them but are bringing different rules here or whatever.
you've probably seen, we have increased our signage and our effort there. We put out a bunch of information on social media and stuff like that, but a lot of that, and exactly what you're talking about, really comes down to an enforcement issue, right?
Right,
And that's a challenge for partners with police, right?
right.
And how they do that. I know they have bike patrols that go up and down the trail, you know, they're really good, they're more active, obviously, in the summertime. But we've asked, and they've increased their patrols on there just to help control some of those things that you're talking about.
But I almost wonder if
But it
like
is a
polite
challenge.
educational signs might address some of those problems because they maybe understand why there's a rule. You know, instead of just a speed limit sign, say, you know, maybe a list of all the different users that are colliding might help somebody to think about it in a different way. And I can't remember, I presented on it after the conference, and I can't bring it to my mind right now, but there was some sort of creative ticketing that they were doing, like you get ticketed if you violate, and the money goes towards the trail maintenance, or I can't remember what it was, that there was some sort of cause and effect.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah, so I could look up my notes and if you wanted more information, but, off the top of my head, I can't remember what it was.
Another interesting part of this that I didn't mention, but maybe remember this, but the important part of our trail system and our trail network is also our interface with the Forest Service. Okay? And so we have a lot of trailheads and trail networks that start on city property, quickly move into the Forest Service. They have differing, you know, rules and regulations and what's allowed and stuff. So we've got a good working relationship with the Forest Service, and that's an important part into this as well. Because, you know, with the foothills and things, it's, a lot of people are hypersensitive to that. And we've been doing a lot with, and to control illegal, you know, motorized vehicle use, but understanding what their rules are, because we advertise that our trailhead is an access to the Forest Service, but helping them understand what they're allowed to do here
It's not the same.
versus here, you know, once they have that, so that's.
I was gonna say, I actually think the Forest Service right-of-way diagram that they have on a lot of the trails is really useful.
Really helpful.
Just showing like,
Yeah.
yeah, everyone yields to horses, motorcycles yield to everyone, bicycles yield to hikers, like.
So there's no horses allowed on most of the Provo River Trail,
He's
right?
just saying as an
No,
example.
but I'm just saying so that we
Yeah.
could create something
Yeah.
similar that
That's right,
involves
showing who needs to give
micromobility
way
or,
to whom,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and we've explored some of those. things.
Anyone under 48 inches on a non-electric device, over 70.
If I could make a suggestion, what I would love, and I don't know how this would work, but if maybe we get Bike Walk Pro involved or something and do some trail etiquette education, where on a couple Saturdays at some of the parks along the river trail, you know, hand out flyers, have some sort of event, do free bicycle tune-ups or something, so we get people, and just because trail etiquette is a big problem on the trail, and
Huge problem.
there's, I don't even know the appropriate etiquette in every situation, but
You could work with each of the elementary schools, and the middle schools, because they all do a bike to school week, and you could have something in conjunction with that at every park along trail that would get people jazzed at the time they're thinking about it. And they would
Other
listen.
events, you know, have Bike to Work.
yeah.
Yep, or in May at the Bike to Work thing.
Yeah, so there's already stuff going on there, so I think it'd be an easy
To collaborate on
opportunity if, you know, Bike Walk wanted to set up a little informational booth there when we're already providing services and we already have it organized, it's just all addition, so.
Bike Walk probably does have an education committee, or at least be on there. So, you should reach out.
Okay. Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you for talking with us, and we'll see you next month.
We're doing a level of target.
LA was because my daughter had her